Hey kids, we're back. We're back on air. We're live streaming. So this is you're watching Guitar Quackery Live, which is the one and only live streaming guitar repair channel so far. Maybe one day there will be others. We'll see. So we're streaming. We have a pretty good guitar. It's a Boucher guitar. It's Canadian. Yeah. And before we get into it, I am going to do something, a little formality. Okay. So maybe other viewers will pick up this live stream while I do this. Well, this isn't the guitar. I just need the hanger. Okay, this one's going to be a giveaway one day. All right, this one is a Brownsville guitar. It's a Sam Ash brand. Okay, the Boucher guitar is right here. And thus, in this hard case. Okay, here it is. The humidifier is right here where it belongs. And this is the guitar. I'm going to place it here just for a moment. I know you don't see it, but I have a system. So I have a customer database on my phone, and I take a picture of the guitar. So when people call me, if they ever call me again, right? When the phone rings, I see the guitar and the name. So here, boom, okay? So I took a photo, and this is going to be associated with a profile. Use photo. Now it shows up. Now I just resize it. I'm going to show you the customer's name, but you know, it looks like the way it looks. And then I click done, and then I also do the little thumbnail. So if I receive a text message in the future, right away it clicks. Ah, I remember. All right. Yeah, that's it. So now, let's put it back in the case. Or can I do this safely this way? I think I can. All right. Look at this. It's a beautiful guitar, right? Very well made. They're pricey. I think $5,000 or $6,000, something like that. It's a small company in Canada called Boucher in Quebec. And that's a French name. Boucher. In French, it means butcher. Well, kind of. Le boucher would mean the butcher, but Boucher is just a name, right? Yeah. Le boucher would mean butcher. Cette guitare n'était pas construite par un boucher. Hein? C'est pas le nom Boucher sur la tête de cette guitare représente le nom du fondateur Robin Boucher. Ouais. Robin Boucher is the founder of this company, right? And he's Canadian. Robin Boucher ne doit pas être confondu avec un autre Canadien qui s'appelle aussi Boucher, Normand Boucher. Normand Boucher was another Canadian. That was the founder of Norman guitars in the 1960s. C'est pas le même mec. It's not the same person. Okay? Okay. On continue. We are going to fix the nut. So the guitar is oh, have I? Well, I need to show you from above. And here it is. So this camera really doesn't do it justice. But this color is really great, okay? I don't know how to describe it. Honey, maybe? Look at the sides and look at the back. Okay, you don't see them often as a small company, obviously. And the neck is perfectly quarter sawn, all right? And the owner of this guitar knew that. I see there's a B, right? That's a Boucher logo. So we are going to do a little nut repair, or should I say, why is this? It was stuck, okay. A little nut repair, or should I say adjustment, and I will show you why. Let's place the guitar here. Under the microscope, right there. So, here we are going to be looking at the nut as soon as I align it. Here it is. Okay, so we're looking at the high E string. As you can see, it's chipped off a little bit there, but we're not going to fix that. That's just, I think it was just a soft part of the bone right there, if I point to it with this. Okay, so this just came off, okay. Here, it's not really well seated. Okay, so this is a little bit of an imperfection, to be honest with you. But I really like the shape of this nut, okay. If we move over to the B string, this is it. And this is the G string now we're looking at. It's got a wound G. Now you can see here, if I stop it, there's a little bit of chipping here happening, okay? And it feels like the string is really tight, okay? And this is going to be apparent here as well. You can see right there a little bit of chipping happening right there. Again, the string is really tight inside of the string slot. And you can see on the other side as well. So a little bit of the material chipped off from here because the string is really tight. We don't want the string to be too tight. And here, a little bit chipped off again. You can see that. On this side as well, right there. And on the other side as well, right there, okay? And here, you can see a little bit of chipping. And on this side here, it's chipping off right there. And again, this is happening simply because the strings are a little bit too tight. So these are 13 gauge strings, 13 to 56. It is possible that the nut was cut for 12 gauge strings, and maybe that's why the strings are a little tight. So that's the repair we're going to do. And while we're at it, we are also going to repair Sorry, there's a little bit of noise. The kids are making noise. We're going to repair. We're going to improve the nut height. So here. It's simply a little bit too high. So when we push the string against the second fret, we see a little gap here. So this is the gap should be minimal. I can use this dial indicator to measure that gap. So when I push the string down, you see how much it travels. It's just too high. And this one, you know, it's actually within range, but we can go slightly lower if we really want to while we're reshaping that thing. This is also within range. This is also within range. And this is as well. And this as well. So now, what would be like maybe more ideal? I mean, you know, it's debatable, but all of the strings except for the low E are 5 check marks about, right? Which is 5 1/100ths of a millimeter. If we get it down to 2 1/100ths of a millimeter, that's really, really good. So we are going to widen these string slots a little bit for the wider strings, and also just touch it down a little bit while we add it. It's going to load the strings a little bit closer to the fret, and that'll be that. So I wouldn't really be filing it lower unless I had to widen these string slots. As you can see, the bone can chip if the string is too tight, and we just, you know, don't want that situation. All right, so I guess let's get to work. I'll be using these knot files. These are the Music Nomad knot files. One thing, all the frets are completely even. Now, I'm not doing a review of this guitar, and I, you know, just need to move on with the job. But I did go over the entire fretboard with the fret rocker. I didn't find any uneven frets. And I already did a truss rod adjustment because the neck had a significant up bow when I saw the guitar first. And I already did the adjustment of the truss rod, so now it's got a perfect relief. All right, what are we doing? We're going to file the nut. Okay, so I guess we'll spend some time here. That's good. I kind of always start with a low E string. Here it is. Sorry, a text message came in. I think it's important, actually. Okay, I just wrote back, no problem. Okay. Okay. So let's do it. Yeah, so we won't have to really do much to the frets. We will buff them. Okay, we'll give the nice polish, and then we'll complete the setup of the guitar. Okay. So here we go. It's the low E string. And you can see that the bone is, in fact, chipping off a little bit. You can see the little fragment right there that just came off. So this is the first time I'm actually removing these strings. And I can see that it is, in fact, a little bit too tight. So even if I just look at it from here, it kind of gets trapped a little bit, I believe. Let's see. Kind of. Yeah, so this is what we find if we zoom in. So this is a really nicely shaped nut, but it's just slightly too tight, okay? I don't know what files they used. Now we can't really save this. This is going to come off. We can repair it. So if we want to repair it, we would use dental composite fillings. I have some videos on this channel and on the main channel as well that show you how that's done. But we won't be doing this type of repair right now. It's really not necessary. Okay, so for this string slot, I'm going to use a 56 gauge file, right? Got to be really careful at the back. So I almost forget every single time, right? To put a little tape there. So why don't I do that before I regret it? So this is just a low tack tape right there. Okay. It's safe because it's a low tack tape, but it's also kind of thick paper, right? It's kind of like a post-it note, right? And here we can file it a little bit. So let's just touch it up. So I can actually feel that it's touching the two sides. Okay. And it's already at the bottom, okay? We don't want to widen it too much because we don't want the string to vibrate inside of the string slot. But here it is. And now I just put the string back. I don't really need to tune it to pitch. What I do is I first check, you know, just kind of eyeball it and check the gap. And, you know, I can tell that it could go a little bit lower, but we don't want to damage this guitar. I just want to know where I'm at, so I take a measurement. It's about 12 check marks right now. So, you know, if we get it down to about 5 or so, that's good, you know, for the bass side. So you see, this was already chipped off, right? There was a fracture through the material. Now it just kind of fell off. Okay. Sometimes it's difficult to take a measurement right at the edge, so I just need to take my time to take a good measurement here. you know, we're getting there. I'm really just taking small amounts of material off each time. So shaping the string slots is, you know, quite a skilled job. Let's check again. I am right where I want it to be. About 3/100ths of a millimeter right now. I'm not going to go any lower than that. So now we can start filing the other file, the other string. So the strings that are on right now are, by the way, if you look at them, they're the Dario XS strings, and you can tell there's this coating right here. This is interesting. You can see right there this line going across. So this is where the tape that is used for the coating is overlapping. And you can see that there is, in fact, a coating, right? You can see here. You can see the coating on the string. So the strings are the Dario XS 13 to 56 gauge strings. I have a pack right here. They're phosphor browns. So those are excellent strings. I'm not sponsored by the Dario. This is just my opinion. Yeah, excellent strings. Okay. Now, so for this one, I used a 56 gauge file. For the A string, I'm going to use a 46 gauge file. The string gauge is actually 45 in this set. But here, we are going to use a 46 gauge file. Let me zoom out a little bit. So this is the E string, this is the A string here, okay? And that's the file I'll be using, 46 gauge. So let's remove the string. Let's see if we get any chipping as I am unwinding the string. So let's check the bottom here. So this is a little bit crushed. So this is not ideal. It's missing material right there. If I draw a line, okay, with a mechanical pencil, and now if I file it, you can see where I'm removing the material, and you can see there's still black there. So I'm really not pushing down too hard right now. I'm just smoothing out everything. And yeah, let's put the string back and check the height. To be honest, I'm debating if I should actually put a filling there at the tip. Let me think. So this did lower the string just a little bit, just enough. It also widened the string slot. Yeah, I don't know if I should put a filling there because there's some material missing right there at the front of the nut that chipped off. I just feel that a filling might reinforce that part. So let me think about that. It's not too bad. This is what we see. There's just a little bit of material missing there. And that's the takeoff point of the string. That's the point from which the string starts to vibrate, right? So now that's been moved in a little bit, I guess. Although the string is kind of trapped between these 2 points as well. So I'm not sure if I should do a little repair or not. Maybe. Okay. Okay. You know, I am going to first touch up the string slots the way I discussed, and that'll give me time to think. And then if I do an actual repair, an actual filling, I will take a break and continue. So you're watching now part 1 of this live stream. I was going to do this in 2 parts. Part 1, just the nut filing, and part 2, the frets and the rest of the setup. But there might be a part 2 in between now. I don't know. Let me think about it. So the next string size is a 35 gauge string. Okay, so we'll use a 36 gauge file. There is no 35 gauge file. Okay, they don't make them. Here is the D string. Zoom in like that. And let's remove the string. Let's inspect it first. And now let's see if this is chipped off. This is chipped off, you can see, right? But not the bottom, right? So the bottom is still intact. So all we need to do here really is touch up the sides and just hit the bottom a little bit. Not too much. Oh, not here, right? Yes, so I can feel that it's filing the two sides. I know that the camera doesn't really show this, but I am removing material. You can see this, and you can see the glossy part at the bottom, so I'm not hitting the bottom just yet. So this is exactly why we have this chipping at the two sides, right? But not quite the bottom. So maybe at some point this guitar actually had 12 gauge strings on, I'm not sure. But I don't think that this string was seated at the bottom, which means we got to be careful how much we file this string slot, because we don't want to file too low. Yeah, we can still file it. Again, let me show you through the microscope. Okay, so now we're starting to hit the bottom. I'm first hitting it at the backhand a little bit, and now here I'm barely kissing the bottom of the string slot, right? There's a little chipping here now on the side. Okay. So I think there was some damage here because, again, the strings was too tight. It was pushing against this wall. So now we have this chipping. Yeah, so if we do those fillings, I'm going to fill this as well. Okay. Okay. This is really nice and low. But I can still go a little bit lower. As you can see, I am using the old strings first, because I need to remove the strings frequently. I don't want to fatigue a brand new set of strings for that. You can see this is precision work. So this is filing it a little lower. I think I can just do one more pass and we'll be safe. I mean, I literally do this work every day. You know, feel comfortable doing this, obviously. And just one more pass. So bone is, you know, can be a brittle material. It really depends on what part of the bone, right? the closer the bone is to the joint, the more porous it is. So yeah, and then it comes from an animal, so each animal is different. So if the animal had a lot of calcium, it's not the same as if the animal was calcium deprived, right? This is good, all right? We have a tiny little gap. Great, okay? Now we'll touch up these strings. So this is the D string. Now we move over to the G. Focus, focus. And we do see a little bit of chipping right there. I don't know if it is any chipping at the bottom, but we are soon going to find out. Okay. Strings need to be removed, obviously. And if anything's chipped off, it's just hanging by a thread anyway. So let's see if we can remove it. It's not too bad, right? It's okay. And this time it's a 26 gauge file in this set. So normally it would be a 24 gauge file if this was a set of 12 gauge strings. But that's a 26 gauge file. So if it was filed with a 24 gauge file, it's tight. So I need to use a 28 gauge file. There is no 26 gauge file. It does not exist. We can do it with a 24 gauge file. So that's a 28 gauge. You can see this. Focus. Okay, focus down. So yeah, I can feel that the file is removing material. And again, we see that the bottom is still intact, right? It's still shiny. So you see here on the side, you see that there's white powder on the file now, right? So it's removing only from the sides. And I can tell when I hit the bottom because I would be touching that glossy surface. Yeah. So maybe this bone is a little more brittle than what we sometimes see. We still have the same height. Okay, so now we did touch the bottom. This is when we want to slow down because we're already very close to our final height. I also always eyeball it and compare it to the other strings. just to make sure that, the dial indicator is actually showing me a reality. And I have to say that working with a microscope, it really helps with this kind of precision work. I don't know how many people use a microscope in guitar repair. I've been using microscopes since I was a kid. Kind of built my own microscope when I was 7, I think, because I wanted to have one. My parents wouldn't buy me one. And I made my own. Eventually, when I made my own money, I bought one, my first one. Now I have a whole bunch, different microscopes. So yeah, so this G string's good. But microscopes are used often now in electronics repairs, because we have these microelectronics now. It would be impossible to do some types of repairs without them. So the next one is a 17 gauge string, and there is a 17 gauge file. On a set of 12 gauge strings, the B string would be a 16 gauge perhaps. I guess depends on the set, right? But 16 gauge is what we normally see. But we don't have a 16 gauge file. We do have a 17 gauge file. So this was already filed with a 17 gauge file, I would imagine. And all we want to do now is just lower the height. We don't have a tight string slot. I didn't really detect that on the B string. But we want to just lower the height. Because like I said, although they are in, within spec, I just like to get them just a tiny bit lower. And, I got to tell you, this is a really well-made nut. I mean, yeah, I don't really have any issues with these string slots. But I am see here at the back, so if I zoom in on this, so I think this is kind of like typical for bone. It can have imperfections. Bone isn't, in fact, the best material for the nut. A lot of people think it's the best because it's natural. I mean, it's a good material for sure, but as you can see, it's prone to chipping, and it can have air pockets and imperfections, etc. It's still a bit too high for my taste. Oh, forgot to show you. I am really not even pushing down with the file right now. I am just smoothing out the surface more or less, which is removing a little bit of material. We're talking microns, kind of. So microns would be 1/1000th of a millimeter, right? We're now in the 1/100th of a millimeter range of tolerance. But, you know, microns sounds good, so we can call them microns. I am going to do a little bit of nut repair, fillings. So as I'm working through this, it gave me time to think, and I think it's appropriate. So I want to fix the bottom, the tip of the bottom of the A string slot. So this is going to be interesting because we'll be using, I have them right there, dental composites. I need to prep the area. Now that I don't do every day. But like I said, I do have a few recordings of it. But this today you get to watch it live. So this project will be in 3 parts. Okay. The thing is that the setup isn't going to take me too long, so I'm just going to offset that with the little bit of nut repair that I need to do. And yeah, hopefully it's not going to add too much time to the whole thing. Now this looks good. Yeah. Good. Now we move over to the E string. So it's a 13 gauge string, and a file is a 13 gauge file, which is what was already used if this was cut for a 12 gauge set of strings. They don't make 12 gauge files. They make a 10, next one is 13. Okay. Now, as you recall from the inspection, there's a little bit of material missing from, you know, here. Well, I will not be fixing this. I don't think so. Yeah. That's just cosmetic. It doesn't affect anything. Okay. So the string was not too tight. We're just matching the heights because I am kind of like now cutting a little lower. But it really wasn't too tight. Okay. So we're almost done with this part of the job. And I'll take a short break, and then we'll do some dental composite fillings. Yeah, we're good with this. Okay. It's going to be a really short break. I just need to, I'm not actually going to take a break. I'm going to prepare everything. Okay. is going to be a break from the live streaming, but it's not going to be an actual break for me. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful and educational. If it was, just click the like button and the subscribe button if you want to catch me live in real time working on people's guitars. So yeah, let me take a short break and I'll be right back. So thank you very much, and I'll see you soon, very soon.